Hi, Charlotte here with your market insights as we head into September 2020, the last month of the third quarter. And I pulled a quote here from the Wall Street Journal to start with. It says, "A strong economic recovery depends on effective and sustained containment of COVID." Now, with 91% of business and academic economists agreeing somewhat or strongly that economic recovery depends on containing the pandemic. So, where we know we are, right here, wrapping up August, is as we look to economic recovery, it's starting to happen. Now, what actually happened is the economy constricted initially 32.9%. So very, very close to what experts said would happen in the second quarter. So if you were going to look at what those experts said then, we have to look at what they're saying right now. And I think it's encouraging relative to economic recovery. Those same analysts just forecasted anywhere from a 15 to 25% economic recovery over the last quarter of the second quarter as we go forward. I think this is interesting perspective that Morgan Stanley Chief Investment Officer Lisa Shallet shared. She said, "Indeed, the worst ever GDP leading could be followed by the best ever growth in the third quarter." And as we look into general economic numbers, we should look forward to seeing some significant improvement. This leads to, if we look at the overall economy, what's happening in the housing market? How are we recovering there? I put together a couple of clips from several economists from across the spectrum and what they're saying. Now, it almost reads like a movie trailer here. You see, Realtor.com says, "Astonishing rebound. Shockingly strong," comes from HouseWire. Adam Data Solutions says, "Pulled something out of a high wire act in the second quarter." And Zillow said, "Stared the pandemic right in the eye and hasn't blinked. It's been nothing short of remarkable." All of these things are descriptors of housing market recovery. And the reason this is so interesting is this is not the way that economists normally speak. They speak very factually, very much based on the data. And they're using words like shockingly strong, hasn't blinked in the eye of the storm. I think really is summing up where the housing market is right now. And it's blowing away what experts have thought and really underscoring the strength of housing right now and the importance of housing in the overall economic picture. So we're seeing housing play a critical role. Now, you may recall when I spoke of the impact that just one home has on the national economy, but certainly on local economies right here. Just that effect of housing and economic recovery. But if we want to really look at what's going on, we have to start to look at behavior. Since about the middle of May, we've seen weekly showings be up, up, up. People's reasons for looking for a home have changed or have grown, or they become greater during this time as they've really been introspective as to their needs. And as we go into the fall, I think we're going to start to see that normalize a little bit. But the showings and the activity out in the market is very, very strong. Coming from Ivy Zellman, she says, whether in terms of pending contract activity or our proprietary buyer demand ratings, the various measures of demand captured in this month's survey can only be described as shockingly strong. That's another one of those quotes we used before. In spite of the resurgence of cases. Now, we've looked very often at the NAR, or National Association of Realtor Housing Market Recovery Index. And this index really takes four things: demand, supply, price, and time on market, combines those together and creates this index. We're not ahead of where we would have been had we not gone through the pandemic, But that index is now reading above where we were in February. The question that starts to come up and is on a lot of people's mind is, what's going to happen to prices? What is going on with prices? And many have talked about experts and have said, hey, we may see price depreciation during this time. Well, Quicken Loans came out and said this: the pandemic has not stopped the consistent home price growth we've witnessed in recent years. I think this is indicative of the recovery and coming through that we've seen housing literally become more important through this pandemic. People's needs become more important in really driving that demand. Now there's a large range of projections on what's happening with housing prices. 7 out of the 9 experts are calling for positive appreciation going into the next 12 months. So check out that chart. And now I want to go back to what CoreLogic said. Originally they said the last month's forecast of 6.6% home price decline through May of 2021 has been revised as projected, and that unemployment rates through 2020 showed improvements, and the recent rebound of home sales suggests the pandemic did not derail home buyers. If anything, I would interject here, it's made homes more important. CoreLogic says we continue to be motivated by historically low mortgage rates, and this coupled with the declining supply of homes for sale could shield home price growth from the impacts of the current economic uncertainty. And as a result, the latest forecast reports home prices will decline a moderate 1%. So that was our adjustment from a decline of 6.6% between June of 2020 and June of 2021. So again, that's been a massive correction. They've made that to their forecast publicly, which is huge. Again, the story right now across the country is that as we look at listings, they're lower than they've been, even though we continue to bring listings to the market. Now, this is a picture of a store that can't keep the shelves stocked fast enough before people come and purchase the products from them. We can't bring homes to market as fast as people are coming in and buying them. And I think right now, as we look at this is a story that we're seeing across the country. As I look at our information weekly, locally, last week showed an addition of over 200 homes to the market just for that week, followed by a record week of properties going into escrow and also properties closing escrow, which tallies up to under 600 homes available, which is more than half less at this time last year. The other side of demand is to look at purchase applications. And what we can see right now, we've been through 11 straight weeks of year-over-year increase, meaning applications are higher this year for home loans than last year. As we look into the rear view mirror and we head into the fall, we have a lot of people that are looking and ultimately going into contract to buy a home. Many of those are in multiple offer scenarios. I am here to testify, meaning somebody else didn't get the house, so they're still looking. Demand is being driven by what I would call hot interest rates. People are saying now is the time to do what we're going to do. We can maybe afford more home. We can afford the home that we want now. The payments at a price that we can afford are available. Or they're just simply saying, hey, look, if we're going to do it, or we were thinking about doing it in the next couple of years, due to the interest rates and the environment, we're going to go ahead and make that move and make that decision because it makes more sense right now. And we don't know where that's going to go. Interest rates certainly, as we look at forecasts, are forecasted and projected to remain low. But as the economy improves, we know that those will start to edge up. The gift of the economic downturn is oftentimes lower interest rates, and we're seeing that right now. But as the economy improves, we should expect those interest rates to go up. Now, the other side of that is Why are people moving today? What is causing them to make those decisions? And I want to bring some interesting information into this conversation because I think there are specific things happening right now that are causing people to say, we want to do something. A big driver of this is the plan to buy a home due to the possibility of remote work. 2 out of 3 of the buyers surveyed said they are planning to buy a home that fits their needs for remote working. Now, I don't know if that means that 2 out of 3 are going to be working from home, but it definitely means 2 out of 3 are saying, I have that need. Now, I may be going back to work, but if this happens again, I want a place to work from. And this need to have a home that I can work from, that I cannot be on top of one another and doing whatever I need to do for work, or just having the facilities and the access to a place that's quiet that I can work from is extremely important today. And that comes up often for people that's driving a lot of the decisions that they're making to go out and buy a home now. Now, this came in from John Burns, which is a consulting firm. They said that as states, cities, and counties around the country slowly reopen, we predict the Great American Move. For safety reasons, financial prospects, life change improvements, personal comfort, and employment. And we expect a surge in household and business relocations over the next several months. That will provide new strategic opportunities for the real estate market. They're a consulting firm, as I mentioned, that works with a lot of publicly traded builders, hedge funds, and making these kinds of large decisions relative to their businesses. They're calling for the Great American Move based on the ability to work from home, as I just mentioned. Financial reasons, life changes, people just saying we're making different decisions today, and it's certainly being manifest that way. I want to bring in one other piece of information from Atom Data Solutions that's important right now. And this is coming out of the second quarter. It says that home sellers nationwide realized a gain of $75,971 on a typical sale. That's up from the $66,500 in the first quarter of 2020 and $65,250 in the second quarter of last year. The latest figure based on median purchase and resale price has marked yet another peak level of raw profits in the U.S. since the housing market began recovering from that Great Recession. So call, text, or comment below if you'd like specifics for your situation of preparing to move to your next destination before the end of the fourth quarter. Can you believe we're saying that? Fourth quarter? If you found this helpful, you will want to watch this one on preparing your home for selling. I look forward to seeing you next time.